Imagine this moment. You wake up in the morning, sunlight slipping through the curtains, and before your feet even touch the ground, your hand reaches for that glowing screen. You scroll. Pictures of couples smiling, friends celebrating, families traveling to beautiful places, a flood of smiling faces that seem to live the perfect life. And then, there you are, in the quiet of your room, in the silence of your space. No one is calling your name. No one is waiting at the breakfast table. No one is sitting beside you. That silence suddenly feels louder than any noise you have ever heard. Your mind whispers, "Why am I alone? What's missing in me? Why can't I have what they seem to have?" This is the invisible suffering of our time. Not the hunger for food, not the thirst for water, but the hunger for validation, the thirst for company, the craving to belong. And in that hunger, we forget the most essential truth, that the ability to be happy alone is not a weakness. It is the highest form of strength. Let us look closely. Many people believe happiness arrives when someone else enters their life. They believe joy is locked in the arms of a partner, in the presence of a friend, in the company of a group. But have you not seen people surrounded by crowds, people holding hands, people smiling in photos, yet inside they are broken, restless, and empty? Loneliness does not come from being alone. Loneliness comes from being disconnected from yourself. The world has created a trap for you, a trap of comparison. Every time you open your eyes to the digital screen, you are bombarded with curated perfection. Couples on beaches, friends at dinners, influencers laughing in circles of people. You see those images and think, "This is what I need. This is what happiness looks like." But tell me, do you ever see the nights when those same people cry themselves to sleep? Do you see the arguments, the betrayals, the fears they hide? No. You only see the mask, and you compare your reality to their illusion. That is why your solitude feels heavy, because you are measuring it against someone else's highlight reel. But solitude itself, solitude is not a curse. Solitude is a mirror. It shows you who you truly are when the world is not watching. And if you dare to look into that mirror without fear, you will find that solitude is not emptiness. It is freedom. Freedom to breathe without explanation. Freedom to move without approval. Freedom to live without performing. Ask yourself, why do you run from being alone? Is it because you fear the silence? Or is it because you fear what the silence will reveal about you? Many run into the arms of others, not because they love them, but because they are terrified of themselves. They distract themselves with noise, with parties, with endless conversations, because to sit in a quiet room feels unbearable. But the truth is this: until you can sit with yourself in silence and feel peace, you will never know true happiness. Think about it. If your happiness depends on someone else, then your happiness is fragile. If your peace is tied to another person's presence, then your peace can be stolen the moment they leave. How can you call that happiness? That is dependency. That is slavery dressed as love. True happiness must be rooted in something that cannot be taken away. And the only thing that cannot be taken away is your relationship with yourself. So how do you be happy alone every day? Not by escaping your solitude, not by numbing it, but by transforming it. Solitude becomes a gift when you fill it with presence. Sit down with yourself, not as an enemy, but as a companion. Ask yourself the questions you never dared to ask. What do I want? What do I value? What makes my spirit feel alive? Many people die without ever knowing who they are, because they were too busy being distracted by others. But when you are alone, you have the chance to finally meet yourself. Do not underestimate the power of small moments. Imagine this: you wake up tomorrow, and instead of reaching for your phone, you reach for your breath. You sit in silence for 5 minutes, listening to the rise and fall of your lungs. In that moment, you realize you are alive. You realize that before anyone calls your name, before anyone validates you, before anyone embraces you, you exist. And that is enough. That is the beginning of joy. But let us go further. To be happy alone means to create rituals that nourish your spirit. Cook a meal, not because someone is coming over, but because you honor your own body. Walk in nature, not because you need to impress someone with photos, but because your soul feels lighter when you breathe fresh air. Read a book not because it makes you look intelligent, but because your mind deserves to grow. Dance in your room, write in your journal, meditate in stillness. These are not acts of loneliness. These are acts of self-respect. You must understand happiness alone is not passive. It is not waiting for joy to fall into your lap. It is active creation. Every day, you create meaning with the choices you make. If you spend your solitude scrolling, comparing, wishing for what others have, then solitude will feel like poison. But if you spend your solitude creating, reflecting, growing, then solitude will feel like medicine. The same silence that once felt empty will begin to feel full. Do not believe the lie that you need others to complete you. You are not half. You are whole. You are not waiting for someone to arrive and make your life meaningful. Your life already carries meaning. If someone comes, they are not there to complete you. They are there to share with you. But if they never come, your happiness does not vanish, because your happiness was never dependent on them in the first place. Look around at history. The greatest thinkers, the greatest artists, the greatest leaders, they all spent time in solitude, not because they were rejected by the world, but because they understood the world is too noisy to hear the voice within. Solitude gave them clarity. Solitude gave them strength. Solitude gave them vision. And if you learn to embrace it, solitude will give you the same. When you are happy alone, you become unshakable. People may leave, but you remain. Circumstances may change, but you remain. You will no longer fear endings, because you will know that nothing truly ends if you carry peace within yourself. Every day, you must practice this. Practice gratitude for your own presence. Practice kindness towards your own being. Speak to yourself not with criticism, but with encouragement. Too often, people treat themselves like an enemy. They scold themselves, shame themselves, belittle themselves, and then they wonder why solitude feels unbearable. How can you enjoy being alone if the person you are alone with is cruel to you? If you want happiness in solitude, you must become your own ally, your own friend, your own supporter. Tell me, what is more powerful than a human being who needs no one to validate their existence? What is more beautiful than a soul who can sit in silence and feel joy rising from within? This is not arrogance. This is not selfishness. This is liberation. Because when you no longer depend on others for your happiness, you are finally free to love others not from need, but from abundance. You will no longer cling to them desperately. You will no longer fear their absence. You will no longer bend your soul just to keep them near. You will love them because you choose to, not because you must. This is why learning to be happy alone is not only the path to personal freedom, it is the foundation of true love. Because only when you are whole by yourself can you meet another as an equal, not as a beggar seeking scraps of attention. Only when you have peace inside can you bring peace to another. Otherwise, relationships become prisons where two incomplete People try to squeeze happiness out of each other, and both end up suffocating. So I tell you again, solitude is not your enemy. Solitude is your training ground. Solitude is where you build the strength of your character, the clarity of your vision, the depth of your soul. If you cannot find joy in solitude, you will never find joy in the crowd. If you cannot be at peace with yourself, no amount of company will heal you. But if you learn to cherish solitude, if you learn to see it as a gift, then every day you can wake up in silence and still smile. You can sit alone at a table and still feel full. You can walk without company and still feel accompanied by the richness of life itself. The truth is, simple happiness does not come from outside. It does not come from crowds or partners or validation. Happiness comes from within. And the moment you realize that, you unlock the power to be happy alone every single day. Let us confront a question that burns quietly in the hearts of many. Why is it so difficult to be happy when we are alone? The answer is uncomfortable but necessary. It is because most people have never truly met themselves. They live their lives as strangers to their own soul. They know their favorite foods, their favorite colors, their hobbies. But these are surface level. They do not know their wounds. They do not know their deepest desires. They do not know the voice that whispers beneath all the noise. And when solitude arrives, that voice begins to speak. It tells them truths they have avoided. It shows them emotions they have buried. And instead of listening, they run. They run into distractions, into crowds, into the endless scroll of their phones, hoping that the silence will stop chasing them. But listen carefully, you cannot outrun yourself. No matter how far you go, you will always carry your own reflection, and if you refuse to face it, you will suffer again and again. Yet if you turn toward it, if you look into the eyes of your own being and accept what you see, you will unlock a power that cannot be shaken. Consider a candle in a dark room. Alone, it looks small, fragile, but when the lights go out, that single flame has the power to illuminate the entire space. That is what solitude is. It is the darkness that allows your inner flame to finally be seen. You do not need 100 people around you to feel warm. You need only to realize that your own flame is enough. Happiness alone begins with awareness. Ask yourself, what steals my joy when I am alone? Is it the thought that I am unworthy? Is it the belief that no one cares? Is it the fear that my life has no meaning if I am not being watched or validated? These are illusions. They are parasites planted by society. You were not born thinking you are unworthy. You were not born needing likes and comments to feel alive. You were born whole. You were born free. Somewhere along the way, the world taught you to forget that. And solitude gives you the chance to remember. There is a simple practice that can transform your loneliness into strength. The next time you feel the weight of silence pressing on you, do not escape it. Sit with it. Close your eyes and breathe, and then say to yourself, I am here. I am enough. I am complete. At first, your mind may resist. At first, those words may feel like lies. But repeat them until your heart begins to listen. Repeat them until you realize that nothing outside you can add or subtract from your worth. This is not empty affirmation. This is truth. The truth that you have carried from the moment you were born. Think of a tree standing alone in the middle of a field. No forest surrounds it, no other trees nearby. Yet it grows. Its roots dig deep into the earth. Its branches stretch wide toward the sky. It does not ask the other trees for permission to grow. It does not wait for company to flourish. It stands alone, yet it thrives. That is how you must be. You must root yourself in your own strength. Stretch yourself toward your own vision and grow even if no one is watching. Let me give you another picture. Imagine you walk into a cafe and you see someone sitting alone, sipping coffee, reading a book. What is the first thought that crosses your mind? Do you see weakness? Do you see sadness? Or do you see a person who is so comfortable with their own company that they do not need others to validate their presence? That person radiates a quiet strength, the kind that comes only from being at peace with oneself. And this is the kind of strength you must build. Happiness alone is not about rejecting others. It is not about isolating yourself or refusing to connect. It is about never being desperate for connection. It is about knowing that even if everyone leaves, you will still stand. It is about knowing that your value does not shrink or expand depending on who chooses to sit at your table. You must understand that life will bring seasons. There will be seasons of abundance, where friends surround you, where love fills your heart, where laughter echoes in every corner. But there will also be seasons of emptiness, where you walk alone, where the phone does not ring, where the nights feel long and silent. If you depend only on the seasons of abundance to be happy, you will collapse in the seasons of emptiness. But if you can be happy in both, if you can dance in the crowd and also smile in solitude, then nothing can take away your joy. The truth is, most people fear solitude because they confuse it with rejection. They think, if I am alone, it must mean no one wants me. If I am alone, it must mean I am not worthy. But solitude is not rejection. Solitude is opportunity. Solitude is space. Solitude is the soil in which your inner garden grows. Flowers do not bloom when you are constantly distracted. They bloom when you give them silence, when you give them space, when you give them care. Let us challenge the idea of happiness itself. Too many people think happiness is a peak moment, a mountain to climb, a destination to reach. That is why they are always chasing, always running, always waiting for the next person, the next event, the next validation. But happiness is not a mountain. Happiness is breath. Happiness is presence. Happiness is found not in the spectacular, but in the simple. The warmth of sunlight on your skin, the taste of tea on your tongue, the stillness of a quiet morning. These are not small things. These are life itself. And when you are alone, you have the rare privilege to truly notice them. When you master happiness in solitude, you gain a shield. No longer do you fear abandonment. No longer do you cling desperately to others. You become light, free, untouchable. You can love without fear, give without condition, live without apology. Because your happiness is no longer fragile. It is no longer borrowed from others. It is yours. But make no mistake, this path requires discipline. It requires daily practice. You cannot simply decide once and expect your solitude to transform. You must choose it every day. You must build rituals that feed your soul. Create, move, breathe, write, reflect. Every day, make your solitude sacred. And here is something powerful. When you learn to be happy alone, you will discover that you are never truly alone. Because in the silence, you begin to feel the connection between yourself and the world. You feel the breath of the earth, the rhythm of life, the pulse of existence itself. You realize that you are part of something vast, something infinite. And in that realization, the loneliness fades. Because how can you be lonely when you are connected to everything? So the next time you wake up in silence, do not see emptiness, see possibility. Do not see a void, see freedom. Do not see loneliness. See yourself and the endless universe within you. That is where true happiness lies. And so, let me leave you with this. Happiness is not hidden in the hands of another. It is not buried in the noise of a crowd. It is not waiting in the shadows of what you do not yet have. Happiness is already here within you, quietly burning like a flame that never goes out. You have carried it through every storm, through every loss, through every night of silence. It has always been with you. And the moment you choose to see it, the moment you choose to honor it, you will realize you were never lacking, never incomplete, never unworthy. Walk into your solitude, not as a prisoner, but as a master. Walk into your silence, not as a victim, but as a creator. Stand in the stillness of your own company and feel the strength that rises from within. The world may come and go, people may enter and leave, circumstances may rise and fall, but you rooted, unshakable, whole, you remain. Carry yourself with the certainty that you are enough, not because someone else says so, not because someone else proves it, but because your very existence is proof. You breathe, therefore you are worthy. You live, therefore you are complete. So, let the silence be your friend, let solitude be your teacher, and let your own soul be your companion. Because when you can stand alone and still feel joy, when you can sit in silence and still feel peace, when you can wake each day and know that you are already whole, then you have discovered the greatest freedom of all. Be unafraid of being alone. Be unafraid of the silence. For in that silence lies your power. In that solitude lies your truth. And in that truth lies a happiness that no one can ever take away from you.